Yeah, all right, the HK-45. I gotta look that one up, man. I'm not sure what that one looks like, but that's pretty awesome. All right, very good, man. Very good. Yeah, I gotta get out of this state, man. This state has gone to heck. It's done. New York is swishing around the toilet, guys. Stay away. Stay far away. That's all I can say. Unless you're a neighboring state that wants to invade. All right, let's see. No traffic. No, you know what? Let me get back to Kilo Echo 2 Alpha Golf Papa. Brian, I believe he was in traffic before. But Brian, are you still with us? Or are you driving around and about still? And if so, if you can give us your local outside temperature, and let me know if you've got any traffic for us. Oh, okay. I am familiar with this one. This is a nice handgun, man. I, I, I just looked it up there, Wes. Yeah, this is a sweet handgun, brother. Wow. Wow. If I ever make it your way, man, I'm gonna come. And I don't know how I would get there. I'm not allowed to take mine on a plane, but I definitely bring my piece with me. Have some fun shooting. All right, since nothing is heard there, I guess we're going to go to the question of the evening. Before I do that, I'm going to see if there's any check-ins. This is Alpha Charlie 2 Alpha Echo Joe in Gravesend, Brooklyn, New York with the FusionNet, and we're looking for check-ins. Check-ins, check-ins, come one, come all. Oh, wait a second. Line 11. Wait a minute, you said you had no traffic, 11. 11, you said you had no traffic. All right, let's see. We're going to go, before we go to the question of the evening, we're going to go over to Kilo Golf Zero, Bravo Kilo. Rusty Balloons, pick it on up, brother.
Well, maybe you should refresh your net loggers. Uh, I show 65 degrees and a T. Huh, imagine that. Oh, well, that's fine. I just didn't think you wanted me, so, that's how it goes. Too bad. You got me now. And I forgot to start my timer, so I'll try to not time out. First thing was, just a quick thing on the candy. I don't mind the candy corn too bad, but what I really hate, and I don't think they make them anymore, is those orange circus peanuts. Those were absolutely nasty. And what tasted like Vicks Vapor Rub was they call them horehounds. HOAR, maybe it's horde hounds, something like that. But they taste like Vicks Vapor Rub spelled. So just to get that out of the way. Real quick here, we lost one balloon. It's up over the North Pole or anyway that part of the country. We've lost it before for a couple, 3 weeks. So we're still looking for it to come back. I don't think it's gone yet. Our other balloon, our heavy balloon, is about north, northeast of Hawaii, and is kind of headed toward the States again for its hopefully second time around the world. So having fun with that. We got two more we're going to launch. It's going to really depend. We've shipped them. The guy's got him, and he's on his way to Antarctica Yes, that's right. Going to launch them from Antarctica, 2 balloons that we'll see what happens. And their winds can get real ferocious down there, so that's why it's going to, we know it's going to be at least middle of November, probably toward the end of November, before they can even get them put together. We set down the kits, so to speak. So that's where we're at with the balloons. Let's see here. Guess that's about it. Oh, Cracker Jack Stacks. I know I always get in trouble with Captain Dave if I don't give Cracker Jack Stacks. So, and I found some interesting ones that actually started on the 1st, which would be Tuesday. So I'll give you some of those in just a moment. Or maybe I should say right after this brief break. Anyway, from Monday, or no, Tuesday, the 1st, just in kind of meeting or interesting. In 1934, the first published reference to the game of poker. They described it as a Mississippi riverboat game. In 1870, the U.S. Weather Bureau begins its operations. 43, World War II dim-out ban was lifted in San Francisco Bay Area. 1947, the first Aloha Week parade was held in Hawaii, or else. 1953, the first issue of Playboy magazine was published in Chicago. Way to go, you. And in 1981, first class mail was raised from 18 cents to 20 cents. That was in 1981 on Monday. I got to scroll here, so let me let this drop for a second, and I'll come back for Wednesday. Okay, these are... Oh, I forgot. Okay, I think we're on. These are from November 2nd, on this day in history. Born on this day in 1734 was Daniel Boone, the old coonskin cap guy. I'm not 1734, I don't know what I said, but 1795, James K. Polk, the 11th President of the United States, was born. In 1865, Warren G. Harding was born. In 1913, gotta be kind of old to remember him, but Burt Lancaster, the actor, was born. In 1961, Katie Lang, who was a singer and songwriter, was born. And born on yesterday, in 1966, was David Schwimmer. Of course, he is the actor on Friends. And on this day in history, yes, on today in history, in 1920, KDKA out of Pittsburgh was on there as the first commercial radio station. And in 1948, Truman beats Dewey. Well, the pollsters and the newspapers thought otherwise. And also this day in history, but I don't have a date down, North and South Dakota both joined the United States. Interesting facts here. After trailing in a 3-1 series game, the Chicago Cubs defeated the Cleveland Indians and captured that franchise's first World Series title in 108 years. That was a rain-delayed game when it went into the next day, actually. And the film Wizard of Oz came out on this date in history in 1939. And Democratic politician Barack Obama became first African American to be elected as President of the United States. And a random quote, this one goes on to Dave. It comes from James Gregory, and he's quoted to say, when the flight attendant comes by to take your drink, or actually to take your drink order, just say, I'll have whatever the pilot is having. That's it from KG0BK.
All right, Crackerjack Facts by Rusty Balloons himself. All right, Russ, I'm gonna question you on something. Now, the Playboy magazine, 1953, the first issue. Not that I ever looked at Playboy, but it was actually December 1st, 1953. Who was on the cover? Who was on the cover? This one goes straight back to Russ. And that little comment about Barack Hussein Obama, he was neither African nor American, in my opinion. He was definitely either this third, yeah, I think he was the third president that I absolutely could not stand. Jimmy Carter being the first, and George W. Bush being the second, and followed immediately by Barack Hussein Obama. I think they single-handedly flushed this great American United States down the toilet. But that's neither here nor there. That's just my opinion, guys. And you know what they say about opinions? They're like armpits, and every single one of them stink. But Russ, who was the first person on the Playboy December 1st, 1953 issue?
Well, first of all, I have to agree with you and President Obama. Uh, but I can't believe I got the fact wrong. I've been checking that one out. Although you sound like you're pretty close. So I think you're probably pretty close because it was probably your wife that was on the first cover. That'd be my guess from KG0BK.
Well, let's just say if my name was Joe DiMaggio, then probably. But it was none other than Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe. And for years, I would collect the magazines. And I'm going to tell you guys a really funny story. I was only able to either walk into what we call the Tiamo, which was the newspaper store over here, and me and my friends used to go in there, and we used to distract this six-finger guy. That's right, he had a sixth finger. We used to show him our baseball gloves because he loved baseball, and he was from India. So one of our friends would distract him, and we would go and we would steal the latest Playboy, Hustler, and I forget the other magazine. Oh, there was another one, another dirty magazine we used to take. And we used to all go around the corner to the dead end street near the trains, and we used to look at the pictures of me, ooh, and laughing and stuff. But it started me on a porn addiction I never thought would end, and would collect these Playboy magazines for years. I started working in a bagel store, and they had a basement, and I went down to the basement with one of my bosses, and I saw all these milk crates filled with these magazines, and I said, "What's in there?" So he went and he started showing me the what was in these milk crates, and he was an avid collector of Playboy magazines, which I later on inherited them when we were cleaning out the basement because he was going to throw them out. And I was like, heck yeah, I'll take them. and I wind up getting about maybe like 10 or 11 milk crates filled of Playboy magazines that he had collected over the years. I mean, I'm talking like there was. I don't think I had a Maryland in there, but they went back to like the early '60s, and just had a whole bunch of magazines. Which can't even believe we're talking about dirty magazines on the FusionNet. My heavens, this conversation has changed. All right, back to business. Back to business, guys. AC2 AE. All right, let's see. Let's go to the question of the evening, guys, which was brought to us tonight by none other than N5DWR Dennis out in 15 seconds. I almost gotta let this drop. All right. So the question of the evening tonight is brought to us from Dennis, N5DWR out in Spring, Texas. Guys, let me know if this question is not awesome or what, man. It's saved to the archives like we save all the questions here, but this one's a real good one, man. So the question is, what might ham radio look like in 10 to 20 years from now? Will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? Will the radios have built-in internet? Well, I can tell you right now, I don't know the model of the radio, but it actually has built-in internet already. It has a built-in MMDVM, and so that there is something similar to that already. What will the size be? Will it be the size of a Dick Tracy watch? Do you remember the Dick Tracy watches? We never thought we'd have those, but look at what we have today. And how about wireless connections to antennas? And I'm sure this would be interesting, he writes. So I just got to tell you a funny story before I go any further. Jay and I forget where we were. Oh, we were in AutoZone. I think it was AutoZone. JKD2 LRX and myself were in either AutoZone or maybe Home Depot. We were in the process of building an antenna, and they had the clamps for the battery chargers, and they didn't have any wires on them. So I said to him, I said, "Oh, look," I said, "wireless battery chargers," and he looked and he goes, "Wow," he goes, "I didn't know they had those." And there I was just chuckling away, laughing. And he looked at me and he goes, "You big jerk," he tells me. Oh, man. I don't know, Jay, if you remember that or not. But I'm going to throw it over to JKD2LX, see if he recalls that. That was a few years ago.
Wow, that's tossing it all the way back. And yes, I do remember that. I forgot where we were. Either AutoZone or Home Depot or one of those places. Maybe Lowe's. We might have been on Lowe's on Long Island. I'm not sure. KD2LRX.
It was just, he just so innocently was like, "Wow, I didn't know they had those." And then he saw me laughing and was like, "You big jerk." Jay and I have had some really funny times, guys. That's probably why he's one of my best friends out there, man. All right, so the question tonight is ham radio. What may ham radio look like in 10 to 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? Will radios have built-in internet? What size will they be? And how about wireless connections to the antennas? Now, I'm going to say the wireless antennas, man, you're going to need some sort of an antenna to get to that wireless antenna. But I guess that could be considered a repeater or not. That's what I'm going to go with. But if you guys got any ideas, it would be great to hear what you guys think about that. And what a topic of discussion for the evening, man. I got to say, it's absolutely fantastic, Dennis. All right, let's see. First up on the list is KV6 Delta Hotel Romeo, Mike out in Kelso. Mike, what say you, brother?
I was out in the other room tending to the wife. What I didn't get all of that. What is the question of the night?
All right, awesome, brother. I'll definitely say it again. What ham radio might look like in 10 to 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? And will radios have built-in internet? And what will the size be? Will it be the size of a Dick Tracy watch? And what about wireless connections? So it's more of a kind of a topic of discussion. What you think the projection of what ham radio, what direction they're going in. You know, every day technology is changing and growing, so faster and faster every year. So what do you think it'll look like in 10 to 20 years? How small will they be? Um, let's see, will there be more Bluetooth? Will it be entirely something different? Will the radios have built-in internet? And what size will they be?
Well, there are some small radios out there. I don't really think that they can get too much smaller, and I don't really think ham radios are going to go that way. Bluetooth microphones might work. I don't think wireless antennas. I don't believe that's going to fly at all. Um, I would like to see radios that would be able to do Wi-Fi, like my GPS in the car. All I have to do is I have OnStar, so I have internet, and whenever I jump in the truck to go somewhere, the first thing I do is check to see if there's an update for my GPS, which is a Garmin, by the way, the best. And yeah, that would be really nice if you were able to have your internet, especially with Wires X. So unless you're going through a repeater, which I haven't found around here, um, I go through my laptop all the time. I don't know if anybody around here has got any kind of connection to Wires X at all, C4FM or whatever you want to call it. So I just deal with it as it is. And I actually I got myself a really nice AGM battery for free. Weighs 80 friggin' pounds and kind of an emergency type thing. And until I get power in the truck, I can use it in there. And I actually took my 400 and my other radio and take it to the truck and had the laptop in there and did Wires X, and that was kind of cool. But that's the way I see it. But don't quote me on that. Back to you, Joe.
Yeah, I gotta kind of agree with you, man. We've kind of hit an impasse with the radios, but as for not getting much smaller, man, I can remember when cell phones first came around, they were as large as bricks. Well, I can remember them as large as suitcases back in the day. They were pretty much like suitcase size. You have them in like a little attaché case, and so I remember them being quite big at first. And then somewhere around 2000, the turn of the century, they had gotten very, very tiny to the point where they're like little flip phones, and the smaller the phone, the better it was. And, you know, then they kind of got into the whole smartphone era with the bigger screens, and now they're getting quite large again. I gotta say, mine has got to be, oh, I gotta say, mine has got to be, about maybe 7 or 8 inches. I got the Samsung Galaxy 22 now. It's got a pretty big screen on there. They seem to be going back to the larger screens, and But it amazes me with all the apps and stuff that they've got and all that. But that's a pretty awesome answer, man. Pretty awesome answer. All right, let me see if Lee is in here from Oshkosh. Kilo Charlie 9, Zulu Victor Zulu. Lee out in Oshkosh, are you still with us? And what do you think about ham radio? What do you think it might look like in 10 to 20 years from now? Will it be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? Will radios have built-in internet? And what will the size be? And how will we pay for this internet for the radios? Will it just be where it just links to a router or connects to our phone? Where are we going to get this internet? Will it be satellite? So many questions, man. What an awesome question tonight. Lee, go ahead, pick it up, brother. Net control operators, what a bunch of silly people they are. All right, let's see. We're going to go over to Cape Coral, Florida. Kilo Bravo 2, India Delta X-Ray. Chris, what's going on, brother? What might ham radio look like in 10 to 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? Will the radios have built-in internet? And what size will they be?
Yeah. Well, first I'm going to tell you my prediction, and then I'm going to tell you what would be nice, in my opinion. Predict that we are going to find better usage of the super high frequencies, like the 900 megahertz, 1296, even all the way up to the 10 gigahertz. But I don't think it's going to be void. I think we're going to end up using those for possibly links or something like that, or something that hasn't been invented yet. Uh, that's what I predict. Better usage of those bands in a way that we don't get zapped with X-rays. Now, what I'd like to see happen is uh, I'm really thinking right now that Wires X Fusion C4FM is my favorite, but I come from DMR originally, and it sure would be nice to have some better features on DMR, similar to what we got here on Wires X. Like simple usage of the GPS, things like that, little things. It'd be nice to see DMR improve up to the level of technology that D-Star and Wires X C4FM have come to, because it's a fun band too. And as far as the size, I think we're going to find that I must have hit my TOT. As far as mobile rigs, they're not going to change much because uh, the screens get too small. People can't see them. Same thing with the handheld. The size they are now is perfect. You can pretty much see them. Me being 64, I need reading assistance. So, like right now, I'm sitting here with computer glasses on, and I can see the faces of all of the handhelds I got, the hotspot, and the one I'm on now, which is the 400, Jason 400. Um, So I don't think the size is going to get too much smaller. They may offer something smaller for people who want it, but I don't think it's going to be a premier project. Anyway, we've taken enough time. Let's hear some other ideas. KB2IDX, back to net control, PC280.
Yeah, I think we will probably be utilizing a lot more of the higher frequencies, and I kind of agree with you with that. It seems like it's going to the super high frequencies now. But look, who knows? But while you were talking, it kind of reminded me of an old Star Trek episode called "Bread and Circuses," or "Breed and Circuses." And there was a part where Ahura turned to the captain and said they're using old, she's catching some chatter on some old frequencies, and they were basically like our television frequencies. So I can only imagine that they were probably back in '68. I don't think we had UHF yet, or I don't think we were using UHF yet at that time for television. So I was just imagining that they were probably using like the 2 meter frequency bandwidth at that time. But we'll probably be like that in the future sometime. Say, oh yeah, they're using the old ham radio frequencies. Awesome, man. Awesome. All right, let's see. KD2LRXJ over in Great Neck. Brother, pick it up, man. Let me read it to you again. Okay, what might ham radio look like in 10 to 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? What will radios have? Will they have built-in internet? Will they have, what will the sizes be? And, could they possibly be the size of a Dick Tracy watch?
KD2 LRX. What a great question. And I've been thinking about it all night. So I think that if what I've been seeing in the industry is any sign of what the future has to bring, I think you're going to see a lot more like touchscreen, color touchscreen displays. You have seen them from Yaesu. You've seen the Motorola now has their DMR or Moto Turbo radios with touch screens on them. Even Bofang has a brand new touch screen, which looks very interesting. I really want to check that out a little bit more. It's a neat little radio. It looks pretty neat. So I think you're going to see more touch screens. I think you're going to start seeing I don't know about internet, but I think you're going to be seeing more radios with Wi-Fi capabilities, and certainly we see the Bluetooth now. I'm not a huge fan of Bluetooth. I think that Bluetooth has its connectivity issues. No matter what you're trying to pair with it, it's a little finicky. But Wi-Fi is certainly a nice addition, I feel, to a radio. Bluetooth is too, I guess. But I think you're going to see that. You may even see internet integration, like where it will pair with your cell phone. As sort of the tether, or maybe you don't even need to pair it with your cell phone. Maybe you could subscribe to your mobile network right through the radio itself. Um, I think that similar to the smartphone. Let me let this drop. I predict similar to the smartphone, you're going to see radios get larger in size again, so that they can accommodate the screens. Who knows? Maybe we'll even see a flip version of a radio at one point, where you can kind of unfold it, sort of like Samsung has that fold phone, which looks cool. When that gets perfected, little side note, I think I'm going to pick that up in a few years. The Samsung Flip, the big one. Anyway, I think that pretty much encompasses it. Who knows? What I would love to see is a radio that has built-in wires out. That would be really cool. That would be a radio that I buy. Back to the control. The handheld, I mean. Handheld radio, HT. You know how I love my HTs. KD2, LRX, that's AC2A.
Awesome answer, man. Awesome answer. And you know what? That brings up a whole nother question, man. Wow, this question is opening up a whole slew of other questions, man. So when does it stop being a radio and it becomes a computer? You know, I mean, basically, a lot of these newer radios are basically computers at this point. The MMDVMs, I mean, even though they still have a radio part where it has to transmit and receive the internet and transmits to the radio and from the radio, you know, but at what point does it stop being a radio, and at what point does it become a computer? Huh? Maybe a future question. Who knows? One never knows, do one? Oh. All right. Next up, none other than the person who created the question himself. N5 DWR, November 5, Delta Whiskey Romeo, Dennis. Pick it up, brother. What do you think ham radio might look like in 10 to 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? And will the radio have built-in internet? And what size will it be?
Well, Joe, I've had all week, or actually a little bit longer than a week, to think about it. And the more I think about it, the further out it goes. You've got to get thinking outside the box. Uh, the problem with the screen, that could be eliminated. We already have it now. Heads up display. You can have it projected right on a pair of glasses. So the screen could be eliminated. Uh, that's just one thought. God, the size, who knows? I think you'll see more standardization. Possibly coming together of DMR and the rest of them and Fusion and work something out so there's just one. God, I don't know. The more you think about it, the more questions it brings up. But I think we'll see a lot of changes. Uh, we never thought we could break the sound barrier. We never thought we'd put a man on the moon. What limits us here with ham radio? Why do we figure it has to be this size or that size or any other thing? Look how small they are now. You've got a dongle you can put in the side of your computer, get online, and talk anywhere in the world. So who knows what it's going to be, but it's sure fun to think about and kind of get your mind off of other things during the week. So I'll let the rest of the people come up with their ideas, and we'll see how interesting it gets. And 5, DWR.
Yeah, you kind of hit it right on the nose. We can probably eliminate the whole screen itself, touch screens and all that. Um, even on my FT950, which is still kind of an older radio, I was able to attach a pan adapter to that for my computer. So I really didn't even have to look at my radio anymore. I could control everything from the actual computer itself. Now I have the FT991, and it has a built-in pan adapter, but you can still use an external pan adapter on that as well with one of those dongles. So yeah, you can definitely eliminate the screens totally. I mean, nowadays we can totally use the radios remotely, so long as we have an internet connection. So you don't even have to be sitting in front of your radio. You could be at a remote location in another room, totally controlling the radio itself. So yeah, you bring up a whole bunch of great questions too that we've already got. Um, so, yeah, like I said, probably we're going to see a lot more handhelds. But what me personally, I would like to see, I'd like to see a lot more handheld HF radios that are internet capable, and not so much Bluetooth. I mean, they got Bluetooth microphones already. I've got Bluetooth microphones for my FT8, for my FT8. Is it the FT8? What is that? The VX8. The VX8. I've got the Bluetooth for other radios, Bluetooth microphones for other radios, which the Bluetooth microphones, I gotta say, are pretty awesome, man. You can just set your radio down and just walk around the house and stuff. We also have DroidStar. A lot of us, we got DroidStar on our phones, which basically connects directly to some service somewhere where you're able to even connect to the FusionNet from your phone. Let me let this drop. And one of the, let me see, I got it, okay. One of the newer computers that I have, which is even, it's new to me, but it's not a new computer. It actually has a SIM card slot in it, which I took the SIM card out of one of my other phones, one of my backup phones, and slipped it in there. So I don't even have to rely on Wi-Fi anymore. It directly hooks up to the internet through my service provider for my phone. So it's no matter where I go, it's got internet automatically. I don't have to rely on a router or satellite or anything, and it's just I'm online, and I can hook it up to WiresX, just hook up a radio to it, and go out on WiresX, bring it in my car or whatnot. So we've come a long way already, man. This is a fantastic topic of discussion. Thank you so much, man. All right, let's see. We're going to move on to Howard, KV2 MSU. Howard over in Coney Island. And our resident meteorologist. Howard, pick it up, man. What say you? What do you think ham radio might look like in 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? Will the radios have built-in internet, and will the size be okay? And what will the size be?
Well, as for the size, the human still has to be able to interact with the instrument. So unless they're going to connect it to your brain directly, it's going to have some finite size that fits the human dimensions. I think all the radios will be SDRs. I think they will be smaller. I think the batteries will last longer. Nobody mentioned the batteries. Let's see, you probably have greater sensitivity. Everything we measure a radio by. And some of them talk about the interface with the human might be some way that'll read your mind. It can send thoughts to the radio. Maybe even predicts what the weather will be. But, so what else? So when you have a question like this and you come later on, most of the things have already been mentioned. So try to come up with a few new things. Scale Delta 2, Mike Sierra Uniform, back connect control.
Ah, Howard, that's an awesome one, man. Controlling the radio with your mind. Yes. I don't know if you guys are aware, but last year, I believe it was sometime in January of 2021, and I believe it was Elon Musk who had a chimpanzee, and he had him playing a video game, the old Pong video game, and then they had wired to the monkey directly to his brain, and they took the joystick away, and the monkey continued to play Pong without the joystick for for a food reward. You can actually look that video up on the internet. It's all over the internet if you go to YouTube. Just monkey playing Pong wirelessly with his mind with these electrodes that were implanted into his brain. So the technology is there, man. You know, and if they're already letting the public know about this technology, that the technology exists, they've been using it for far longer than what they've let us know that how long it actually existed for. So Howard, that brings up a great point, man. You know, kind of like back with the Knight Rider days when Michael Knight used to talk into his watch and be like, "Kit, come pick me up. I'm around the corner. Get me Devin on the phone." You know, and to making phone calls and stuff through our watches and stuff. You know, one time Dick Tracy, that was like science fiction, but nowadays everybody's got one of those Fitbit watches on their wrist. They can look at pictures and make phone calls and listen to radio on them, and so it won't be long before we're actually utilizing them. Whew, you guys got great. You see, we got to brainstorm like this, guys. We got to come up with something. All right, let's go to Indiana, Spring, Indiana. Ken, it's your turn. November Victor 7, Sierra Sierra. Ken, what might ham radio look like in 10 to 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? Will the radios have built-in internet? And what size will they be? You know, we keep overlooking the Bluetooth. We keep saying Bluetooth. Is there going to be like a next generation Bluetooth? Is it going to be called something differently? You know, what comes after Bluetooth at 2.4 gigahertz? Whew, this is a great question. Yeah, Ken, pick it up, brother. What do you say?
Well, Joe, I think they're going to have Bluetooth is going to be past. I don't think Bluetooth will be around then. I think they're going to go all a laser. You'll be communicating with laser because they're already doing that now. Down where I work, they have laser communications in between the some of the machines at work that we use, and internet also goes across that laser. So that's a thing that could work. Um, only problem with it is it's a direct line. It would have to bounce off of something in order to get where you want it to go. But I think they would work something out like that. But anyway, another thing I think is going to happen. You know how these are. If you look on your screen, you can see who's talking to you with their call sign, their name maybe, or their GPS coordinates and everything. Might be a built-in camera already on the screen, and you'll be seeing the person you're talking to instead of just seeing their call sign there. Take a break here. But yeah, think about that. Talking to somebody as you're seeing their image on your screen on your radio there, and that's a good idea too. The projection of the radio. You know, like they have these computer keyboards where they project the keyboard onto your desk, and it could be projected onto a screen there sitting right in front of you or whatever, you know, or hologram or something like that. But yeah, I think things like that is highly possible. It's sky's the limit, I'll tell you. And the size of it, I think it's pretty much down where I don't think it's going to get much smaller. I don't know. Possibly. I don't know. Anyway, great question there, Joe. I'm going to turn it back to you. and see what else everybody else does there. A2A and B7SS. Back to you, Joe.
Ah, yeah, laser light, man. Yeah, I guess that would definitely be the next thing, man. But I would imagine that would have to be like line of sight. Would you be able to bounce that anyway off the ionosphere or something? Well, that's a very interesting one. I remember years ago, when lasers were first introduced, they were using them for audio and bouncing them off of glass, and the reflection that they would get off the glass, they would have another receiver and be able to actually receive audio microphones. So that's a big possibility, man. And I like the idea of the camera as well, like as in the Dick Tracy phone. We kind of or the Dick Tracy watches. We kind of got that on our phones now. So that is another great thing. Another thing while you were talking, I remember reading way back when, a couple of years back, that they were able to encode DNA. So they were able to put information on DNA and actually retrieve it as if it was like a sort of like a dongle on a computer. So you could basically smuggle secrets out, data on people's DNA in your bloodstream. I was like, wow, man, I said, technology is really getting wild, man. What is going on here? But that's pretty awesome, man. All right, let's see. Next up, we got Dave, Kilo Bravo 9, Romeo Papa Hotel. Dave, what do say you, brother? What ham radio might look like in 10 to 20 years from now? And will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? And will radios have built-in internet? And what will the size be? Dave, pick it up, brother.
Keep it on our page. Yeah, I kind of think that they're going to be something, similar to those little to a flip phone, or like Star Wars or something like that communicators they had, things like that. I don't know. Hard to say. I think they'll have everything on one unit, though. That's what I think they're shooting for eventually. But in a small unit, that is, that you can carry with you. The only thing I don't like about that idea is, when is ham radio no more ham radio than it's something else, I don't know. Other than that, hey, I got a joke for you. Two politicians walked into the building. You think one of them would have thought? Other than that, the candy corn. Oh yeah, I just bought. It's funny you should say that. I just bought 1 pound bags the other day. Got this candy corn there. Problem is, I gotta wash it on too much so I don't get sick. That's always a factor there. With that, I'm going to give it back to you. Keep it in our piece.
Well, just a word of wisdom and a word of advice with the candy corn. Don't be eating candy corn before you go to the doctor for blood work. Your doctor may not be too happy. Oh, that's pretty awesome. But yeah, that's like what I was saying a little bit earlier. When does it stop being, ham radio, and when does it become, an actual computer? And then that's another good thing too. While you were saying that, you know, like in the days of Star Trek, they're able now to take a photon and beam a photon to another pad. I guess the inspiration came from Star Trek or whatnot with the whole transporter thing. But will we turn to something like that? That's so many ideas with that. Let's see what Jim Kilo Bravo 3 Sierra Yankee Kilo thinks about it. Jim, yeah, pick it up, brother. What do you think ham radio might look like in 10 to 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? And will the radios have built-in internet, or what size will they be? All right, Jim must have stepped off for a little bit, so we'll go on over to Rusty Balloons. Kilo Golf Zero, Bravo Kilo. Russ, what's going on, brother? Russ, so what do you think ham radio might look like in 10 to 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? And will radios have built-in internet? And what size do you think they'll be?
Someone, someone always comes up with these loaded questions. Well, Bluetooth, that's kind of like in regular human. First you have a white tooth, then you get a Bluetooth, and then you have no tooth. So yeah, no, Bluetooth is neat, but it's not. I don't see it being there. Uh, Wireless two antennas, and they're done that, saw that, built that, got it working. They call it STLs, commercial stations do. Studio transmitter link. That's when you transmit from the studio to your transmitter. We had some transmitters that were 25 miles apart. You use the dish antennas and you transmit down to them, and yeah, no wires, no nothing. No phone lines like we used to have to go to those. I can't see ham radio. Well, I guess repeaters are kind of like that. You're using their antenna for your receive and your transmit, basically, if you can get to them. Internet radios, they're already kind of in existence. Mine's remoted. I can go anywhere in the world as long as my phone works and turn the radio on and transmit on it on my HF rig. I can see some Wi-Fi is being adapted. The big thing, well, one thing I thought was kind of funny, but it made me not be that funny, is how Alexis and Google, hey Google, hey Alexis or something, why not, hey radio, tune to 14.255, voice command, okay? And what I really think will happen is you're not going to see the coax anymore. You're going to start seeing fiber optics, which would be neat. And you don't have that RF feedback and all that on your in your system and in your room. And I think that could actually work. So I'm looking at fiber optics for a feed line. To be that as it is, I guess. So that's it from Another Dumb Ham, KG0BK.
Ah, very good voice command. Nobody said voice command yet. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, kind of like what I was saying, like Michael Knight, the Knight Rider. Get me Devin on the phone, or you never know. Like maybe even like Get Smart. You take off your shoe and you start talking into your shoe. There's so many things out there. All right, let's see what Annette has to say out in Boise, Idaho. Kilo 7, Alpha Yankee Juliet. What do you think ham radio might look like in 10 to 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? And will radios have built-in internet? And what size do you think they'll be? Cigarette-net? Are you out having a cigarette-net? Kilo Kilo 7, Alpha Yankee Juliet. Are you with us still?
Yes, I'm just multitasking. So I am here and honestly learning the radio from the analog to the digital and now what it's going to be in 10 years. I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's going to be expensive.
Oh, that's got to be the best answer of the night. That's got to be the best answer of the night. Not sure what it's going to be, but I can bet you it's going to be expensive. That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you think about how big I mean, they call them boat anchors because the radio from yesteryear was so big, and and how small they've gotten over the years. I mean, look at the FT991, man. I mean, this is pretty much a mobile radio. It even comes with a little handle on the side. All you have to do is really hook up a battery and an antenna, and you're on the air. And compared to years ago, you had to get your mom's egg beater, and you had to get your mom's funnel out of the kitchen and pop out the TV tube, and you had to build your own circuitry and all that good stuff, and all that circuitry and stuff like that. So we've come a long way over the last, I would say, maybe 50 years, 60 years, but technology is just changing quicker and more quick, and becoming more expensive. I can definitely say that. I know I said it last week, and I probably said it 100 times before. Get your children into amateur radio. This way, they never have money for drugs. All right, let's see what John over in Salem has to say. Kilo Juliet 7, Victor Whiskey Bravo. What say you, brother? What do you think ham radio might look like in 10 to 20 years? And will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? Will the radios have built-in internet, and what size will they be? Oh, I've got it marked as an in and out. Look at that. Silly me. Silly me. All right, brings us up to the ambassador of the FusionNet, Kilo 2, Charlie Victor David, or otherwise Charlie Victor Delta. Where did I get David from? That's not a proper phonetic. Chris over on the Upper West Side, pick it up. And what do you think ham radio might look like in 10 to 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth? Something entirely different? Will the radios have built-in internet? And what size do you think they'll be?
Well, thank you, Joe. This is K2CBD, Chris on the other side of Manhattan. Before I give my answer, I just want to comment on something that you and Jay were talking about earlier. There are wireless battery chargers. We actually have one for our phone. It's a stand, and you put the battery on it, plug it in, and it charges the battery. I think it's by induction, but I'm not sure about the electronics. And for my suggestion, I just want to follow up on something that Howard said. And I have no idea how this would work, whether it's realistic or not, but it seems like we never thought what we're going to have now, that somehow we will have an embedded chip in our body somewhere, and we will become the radio. So we ourselves will become the radio. Now, I have no idea when this could happen, but it's just something I've been thinking about. We'll become cell phones and radios and whatever it is. K2CBD, back to Net Control.
Well, I gotta agree with you, man. I mean, we do put out a certain amount of voltage, even though it's a very low voltage. So we can definitely power a chip in some way or form. They are looking to also implement circuitry into people. If they can do it with monkeys, why not do it with people? So I definitely believe that we are on the way to doing something like that. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Induction. I've got one sitting right here on my desk that I use for my phone, and my new phone actually can act as a charger for my wireless headphones that I have for my phone as well. So I can actually charge my wireless headphones from the battery of my phone itself, and so that's a new technology I thought was pretty cool. All right, let's see. Let's go over to Tom over in my not. Not his not, but my not. KB0, BSI. Tom, pick it up, brother. So, what do you think ham radio might look like in 10 to 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? And will radios have built in internet? And what size will they be?
Yes, hi, KB0BSI here. Well, I think I've got a couple of ideas. The more the things change, the more they stay the same. I think tradition is going to dictate a lot of what ham radio is going to look like in the future. I'm personally excited about, I've got a hotspot that I'm communicating with this room this evening, and I'm thinking they'll get rid of the hotspot and put the thing right in the radio, so you can take the radio or handheld with you in the car, and it'll talk to your phone, which will in turn talk to the internet, which will you can go to the rooms individually. So it could be a lot more a lot less technology or a lot more integrated technology. The other thing I had an idea about is AI is probably coming sooner than we think. We'll say, hey, hey Siri, what's the time? What's the temperature outside? Well, right now. But it could be more utilized in the future with AI. Hey, hey Siri, connect me with FusionNet room, and you'll be talking directly to them, to you that way. Anyway, that's about the idea I had. I don't know about it getting any smaller because as we all get older, then the eyesight goes a little bit. I've got a big monitor on my computer upstairs, so that's kind of an indication of something of the times too. So I'll leave that as it may. I'm running out of ideas. So back to you, Joe. KB0BSI 73 to everybody.
Ah, yes. The back to the monitors, and I like what you had to say. The more things change, the more they stay the same, and just to past kind of dictates the future with what amateur radio is for certain bands, certain lengths, and I gotta say that's pretty pretty good observation. Let's see, what is this here? Oh yeah, that's nothing. That size of that radio. I've seen smaller radios than that. I've had smaller radios than that. Single channel Motorola DMR radios as well. But Dave is just showing me on the side on the net control text a QHT-1. If you guys are near a what's it called computer, look it up. Oh, this one actually has SDR built into it. I was going to say that too, man. The SDR dongles that we have now are pretty small, and they're you can just plug them into either a Raspberry Pi, or you can plug them into your computer, and bingo bango, there you go. I mean, you may only be putting out like one tenth of a watt, but they're still transmitting, still amateur radio, you know. So there's that as well. All right, let's see. See that Dave just sent that, and he's up next. It's Pilot Dave, or should I say Automatic Pilot Dave. N7MKY. What say you, brother? What do you think ham radio might look like in 10 to 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? Will radios have built-in internet? And what will the size be? AC2AE over to N7MKY. Pick it up, Dave.
N7MKY. Well, I don't really know. And that stole my answer, though, because I'm going to need to be saving money, nonetheless, because this hobby is expensive. It's almost like owning a boat. It's like a hole in the water that you pour money through. But that being said, I'd love to see, like we have the MagSafe technology for iPhones. Or back in the day when you had the Palm Pilot, you could buy like certain accessories to clamp on the back of it. Well, I'd like to see like radios use the screen and the phone for the front end interface to program in frequencies and just slap something on the back of your phone and then you've got a HD. RF Finder is the one radio I think you guys were originally thinking about, the B1 Plus, which is basically, a handheld Android phone with ham radio DMR built into it, which is really cool. Definitely a front runner of some of the technology that's coming out. But the other idea I had, and I'd love to find a way of doing it, is for hams that just want to use HF or be out on the road and connect to an HF radio. I'd like to see Flex Radio go to another level where you could actually, maybe rent a radio for a contest or rent a station for a contest. And then, you just put in your user ID and your password and connect for a certain amount of time to a Flex Radio, and it's up on a mountain with a great antenna. And you can talk to everybody. But those are my crazy ideas for the night. And 7MKY is getting ready to unplug because I'm falling asleep. Back to net control.
Yeah, right. Awesome, man. Yes. I gotta agree. There are lots of smaller radios that are definitely coming out there. But dude, seeing that you have that picture that you had sent me with the Flex Radio, I just saw. I knew somebody a few years back that had that Flex Radio, and had sent it back to Flex so many times that it actually deterred me from buying that radio, because I was really interested in buying that Flex Radio for all of its all the functions and capabilities. But I'm not even joking. In about 1 year's time, I think he had sent the radio back about 7 times, and I was like, wow. I was like, that's just way too much for me, man. And he was always using a backup radio, and the radio was always freezing up on him, crashing. The computer was crashing. So that kind of deterred me from buying the Flex Radio. Even though I do like the waterfall displays and stuff like that, the pan adapters. But Yaesu pretty much seems to have perfected the pan adapter now. And with the dongles, I mean, all you need is SDR, was it SDR or something it's called, I forgot the name of it. And bingo bango, you can have a pan adapter no matter what size you want, what size screen you got. But, all right, very good, man. Very good. All right, let's see. Alpha Golf 7, Whiskey, Quebec. You're up next, brother. What say you, man? What do you think ham radio might look like in 10 to 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? And will the radios have built-in internet? And what size will they be?
Okay, well, I'm going to paint a little more dystopian picture just to give people something to think about. Not that I necessarily think that this is the way things are going, but okay, just a thought. My feeling is that in 10 to 20 years, internet and cellular technology will be so pervasive that people will be basically connected full time, one way or another, whether it's by heads up displays or chips implanted or whatever. And that's going to be too good an opportunity for the government to pass up. So, first order of business, obviously, it's obvious I'm a big Second Amendment guy. Second Amendment's going to have to go away, and it'll go away due to simple lack of interest. The state of California already passed a law that it's illegal to orient programming or advertising to minors. Now, I still belong to a Fish and Game Club in Escondido, California that has a huge youth program, and I'll a little follow-up on that later. But they've had to put their programs on hold while they find out the legal ramifications. I mean, the fines are basically $25,000 for every instance. So if you have 10 kids in a class where you're teaching them about safe firearms handling, that's $250,000 fine you just set yourself up for under California law. Now, that's probably going to get struck out at the Supreme Court level, but you never know. And who knows when the Supreme Court's going to be packed. So I don't have a whole lot of faith in where things might be in 10 to 20 years. If the Second Amendment goes, the First Amendment can't be far behind. So how are they going to do that? Well, the first thing you do is every single one of those devices has a unique device ID in it. And every single one of those will be registered with the government to an individual who will be responsible for every piece of data that is transmitted or received from that device. So they can come to you and say, how come this came from one of your devices? So there'll be no more anonymous programming or data or whatever. And this will be done for the children. Anytime you hear a politician say something is for the children, you should run, because that's a scam. And I'm going to reset. So basically, the government will have the capability to monitor everything. You'd be surprised how much of that they do right now. And, they say, well, we don't read your email. They don't need to. They have the technology now using artificial intelligence to monitor your comings and your goings. They can tell whether you have cancer just by the articles that you've read or the ads that you look at on the internet and whatnot. So, privacy will be a thing of the past. And as a result, finally, getting back to the question, where is amateur radio going to be? I think an element of amateur radio is going to be driven underground to provide clandestine operations for whatever passes as a resistance. I think there'll be QRP, frequency hopping, encryption, little wireless nodes that only power up to forward packets so they shut down, maybe robotics so they can move in between operations. I'm painting a pretty dystopian picture of what could happen, but it's not outside the realm of possibility. There's a pretty good novel written back in, I think, 1970 or 71 by Ira Levin called, This Perfect Day. Ira Levin wrote Rosemary's Baby, for those of you that happen to remember that. But anyway, This Perfect Day is, it's worth a read. It's a short read, and it might get you to thinking. So probably not exactly what everybody had in mind for where amateur radio is going to be in 10 to 20 years, but not completely outside the realm of possibility. And just as a personal note, going back to that junior shooting program at Escondido Fishing Game, 33 years ago, my younger daughter and I participated in a sanctioned national match competition service rifle. She shot an M1 Garand at the age of 15 and scored well enough to earn her own M1 Garand with the old Director of Civilian Marksmanship program. I think I paid $140 for a Korean-era service-grade M1 Garand rifle that she still has to this day. And the thing that brought that to mind was when I was cleaning up my storage unit the other day, I found a bag of clips, not magazines, clips, for the M1 Garand and gave them to her. So that makes some sense, and I apologize for being about her, but somebody had to say it. Back to net control, AG7WQ.
Yeah, well, I kind of agree with you. Once the Second Amendment goes, First Amendment, all the other amendments aren't far behind. But you know, they can try and do it. You know, they've been trying for years. If it ever does succeed, you know, people are going to just start fashioning their own weapons and own firearms, and they'll probably go back to cap and ball or powder and ball. But I definitely believe that they'll. I mean, listen, they've already started limiting the ammunition, so they're stockpiling them themselves. But the only reason why they would want to get rid of the Second Amendment, is because they're planning on doing something we'd want to shoot them for. So just keep that in mind for all those people who don't care about the Second Amendment or not. You know, so I'm a firm believer of all the amendments. People often ask me, am I a Democrat? Am I a Republican? Am I independent? I am a constitutionalist, guys. I believe in defending the Constitution of the United States. All right, let's see. Well, that took a turn. All right, let's see. My brother is up next. Kilo 2, Alpha Charlie Delta, Matt out in Long Beach. Matt, what do you think ham radio might look like in 10 to 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth, something entirely different? Will radios have built-in internet? And what will the size be?
All right. Good evening, Joe. Good evening, everybody on the net. And wow, Wesley. Yeah, that's a different outlook. I was going to go a little bit dark at one point and say that once we integrate electronics and internet, and if we have like telephone technologies in there, the government's going to use it to track us. But yeah, you're definitely thinking further down the road than I was. All right. So as far as the question, I don't think that we're going to be seeing like radios implanted in your head maybe within the next 10 or 20 years. I mean, I could be wrong. Technology sometimes moves extremely fast, but I don't think that that's going to be within the next 10 or 20 years. I could see like lasers working for communication and maybe bouncing them off satellites, or military does that for defense systems and communication all the time. But then we're kind of getting away from radio waves. So where do I think it's going to go? As far as like the size, I see the radios staying around the size that they are. Like I remember cell phones got too small. People didn't like them anymore. And I don't think I really would like a radio that's much smaller than my little Yaesu radios. So I think the size will pretty much stay the same, but I think the electronics will continue to get smaller, and we'll be able to pack more and more computing power into the radios. So I could see potentially like your radio
taking over the job that your computer is currently doing. And then when you go on, the radio, maybe your radio can be doing the logging, maybe even recognizing your voice, remembering what contacts you did and entering it in your log for you, and that kind of stuff. But still, it's going to be, I think, in the future, focused on radio technology. So I could see like different modes. Maybe we would incorporate like Bluetooth and other things like that. But I mean different digital modes for transmitting on the radio. Maybe so we can transmit and receive further with less power, and like receive data through a really crowded set of airwaves with a lot of people on there, and maybe your half-watt radio, you could be talking some incredible distance. Let me let it drop for a second. So yeah, maybe your radio could be transmitting a digital signal, and I don't know if it would be digital voice or whatever modes we come up with, but get a lot more out of that RF space by making better use of the spectrum. And as far as batteries and stuff, I feel like, of course, the battery technology is going to get better, and if we do increase, the technology that the radio is transmitting with, we could probably improve the battery life just by using less power. And yeah, that's pretty much where I think it's going. I think we're just going to keep dumping technology into the radio, and that's it. I mean, I don't know where else we can go with that. I just don't think it's going to be implanted in our heads anytime soon. All right, 73, everybody. I've babbled on long enough. I feel like I forgot a couple of things, but I hope everyone's doing well. Kilo 2, Alpha, Charlie, Delta, back over to net control. Yeah, I kind of think people would resist that, having stuff implanted into their heads and stuff like that. But then again, man, you got people who mindlessly took this vaccine for the COVID, without really thinking it completely through. I'm not saying that it was bad for any of you who have taken it. I understand if you had some illnesses or whatever and felt like you needed to take it or whatnot. But, there's just like a whole slew of problems that are arising from the vaccine that was recently taken. So I don't think people would just freely have radios implanted into their head just for a hobby. So there's that. Let's see what Ralph has to say over in Texas. Kilo Alpha 5, Uniform Lima Echo. Ralph, what do you think ham radio might look like in 10 to 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? Will the radios have built-in internet, and what size will they be? I know Ralph was involved in the World Series before. Let's see if Yazi is still with us. Yasi-san, are you still with us? Juliet 2, Alpha Romeo Bravo. And if you are still with us, what do you think ham radio will look like in 10 to 20 years? Will there be more Bluetooth or something entirely different? And will radios have built-in internet? And what size will they be?
Good evening, everybody on the net. This is JJ2ARB Yasi from Japan. I think that using microwave, like gigahertz of Bluetooth, sizes of transceivers will be smaller than smaller in 10 or 20 years, like what size. However, I believe as long as hams use the frequencies on HF, VHF, and UHF, the sizes of their antennas will be almost the same as the present sizes, even in several decades. Well, I personally wish the sizes of transceivers will keep the same as now, because operation of a large-sized small transceiver will be much more difficult for me due to its smaller switches and my aged eyes. 73 everybody on the net, back to the net control. A6 以上 from JJ2 ARB ヤシ。
Yes. I think a lot of amateur radio will also move into the gigahertz range as well. Matter of fact, I'm looking into getting a super high frequency radio handheld myself. So yeah. All right, Yasi-san, thank you so much for your comments, man. All right, let's see. All right, we're pretty much at the end of the list here, man. So I gotta say, I'm gonna give my opinion, man. I guess I'm a little on the old school side, man. I definitely like the knobs and the lights. I like manually adjusting my audio, my bandwidth, my power. Um, you know, I do like the through-hole components. They're much easier to maneuver inside the radios. I can only imagine if the radios get smaller, it'll be more surface-mounted components, which are a little bit more difficult to work with, but they're still workable. And but I gotta say, I kind of like the technology where we're at now. Where do I think it'll be in 10 to 20 years? I think at some point the amateur radio community will stop going smaller. We have faceless radios now, or we have removable faces that we could do remote with. So I think that's pretty much going to be it. It might get a little bit smaller, but like Mac T2ACD said, the cell phone industry kind of didn't like how small things were going, so then they started increasing the size of the screens. Um, I think it might get more computerized, if anything, where they integrate amateur radio into the cell phones more, like the Droid Star. I think that's probably going to be about it. As for Bluetooth, I think Bluetooth is an older technology, and I think it's going to be probably obsolete within the next, maybe not 10 years, but maybe within 20 years. There may be some other sort of linking to the radios than the Bluetooth. Let me let this drop. As I said already, we've got we've already got radios, amateur radios that have internet built into them. Where I'm using one of them right now, which is a what's called the open spot, and what was it called, the Pi Star, the I can't think of what it's called. These Zoom spots, the open spots. So they've kind of got the Wi-Fi already built into them, and they do link to our radios and link to the internet as well. So that I think they'll elaborate a little more on them. I think those will get a little bit smaller, but and it'll most likely be without screens. We'll need to link up to them through our computers, our phones, and whatnot. So, but like I said, guys, I'm a knob kind of guy, so I like to play with the knobs. I like the flashing lights. I like the pan adapters. I like manually adjusting my audio, listening to my audio in feedback or listen back to it to make sure that the audio was good and all. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. At this point, are there any fusion-related topics anybody'd like to discuss? Are there any questions or comments for or about tonight's net? All right, it is getting late, and the wife has come in, and she wants me. She wants me out of here. So let's see. The heat miser and the snow miser for tonight. Oh, let's see. The hottest temperature goes to none other than who presented the question to us tonight. Dennis out in Spring, Texas, with a whopping 78 degrees for N5 DWR. And the coldest temperature goes to Tom out in Minot. And that is KB0 BSI with a 29 degrees. I wish it was 29 degrees here, man. All right, let's see. This is the weekly meeting of the FusionNet. We're on mission. One check. 20 check-ins was 21 check-ins, 12 early bird check-ins, and no net controlled timeouts. Okay, so that is definitely good. Just want to remind everybody to check us out on the FusionNet.org. Go check us out, FusionNet.org. It is free to go there, free to join, and 10 check-ins in a row gets you free exclusive content to the entire website. Clubbers can get their time and their money to buy quality services to the local amateur radio community, and we would appreciate your support. At this time, are there any late check-ins? Any late check-ins for the net? All right, nothing heard. So I'd like to thank the following stations for checking in and contributing to tonight's net. Okay, let's see. First up, we had Kilo Bravo 6, Delta Hotel Romeo, Mike. Then we had Kilo Charlie 9, Zulu Victor Zulu, Lee. Then we had KB2, IDX, Chris. Jay, our co-host, and our other net control operator, KD2LRX, Jason out in Great Neck. And Dennis, November 5, Delta Whiskey Romeo. Then we had our resident meteorologist, Howard, Kilo Delta 2, and Mike Sierra Uniform. Then we had Ken, November Victor 7, Sierra Sierra. Then we had Dave, Kilo Bravo 9, Romeo Papa Hotel. Then we had Jim out in Pennsylvania, Kilo Bravo 3, Sierra Yankee Kilo. Then we had one of our net control operators, Russ out in Manchester, Kilo Golf 0, Bravo Kilo. Then we had none other than Cigarette Annette, our jokester and resident comedian, Kilo 7, Alpha Yankee Juliet. Then we had John, Kilo Juliet 7, Victor Whiskey Bravo. Then we had our statistician and ambassador to the FusionNet, Kilo 2, Charlie Victor David. Then we had Tom over in Minot, Kilo Bravo 0, Bravo Sierra India. Then none other than our other net control operator, Pilot Dave over in Boise, November 7, Michael Kilo Yankee. Then we had Wes, Alpha Golf 7, Whiskey Quebec. Then none other than our other ambassadors to the FusionNet, Matt, Kilo 2, Alpha Charlie Delta. Then we had Brian, Kilo Echo 2, Alpha Golf Papa. Then we had Ralph out in Texas, Kilo Alpha 5, Uniform Lilo Echo. Then we had none other than Yasi-san from Japan, Juliet 2, Alpha Romeo Bravo. Guys, I want to thank each and every one of you for participating and joining our net tonight. Let me let this drop. It is a pleasure to know each and every one of you and to have you join our net every week. Just want to let you guys know, and remember this, every week, we can't get this net over without saying this. Remember, in the great words of inventor and futurist Nikola Tesla, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. This is Radio Station Alpha Charlie 2 Alpha Echo Joe in Gravesend, Brooklyn, New York. This is the FusionNet, and the FusionNet is now over, and the network is returned to casual communications. I want to thank you all for coming in here tonight. So 73 and QRT.